Hey, beloved, it's Jay with 10 Minutes of Hope. It is time for our weekly devotion. So, when I was doing family worship with my family Saturday, we read through a section in the Bible, and I asked my family what all of those verses, it was on do not judge, right? In Matthew chapter 7. Do not judge, right? And at the very end of that section, the last verse of that section, it says, do not give what is holy to the dogs, and do not throw your pearls to the swine. And I asked them, I was like, so what does that have to do with the other one? You know, what does that verse have to do with do not judge other people? And they couldn't tell me. Even the adults in my family were like, man, I've never thought of that. I've never tried to put those together. Right? And so it showed me how little context we get when we look at verses in the Bible, you know. It's so important to understand the full context. It's so important to understand the whole picture. Right? If these verses are side by side in the same section of the Bible, probably go together. Okay? Now, we've got some verses we're going to go over tonight about the kingdom of heaven. We're going to look at them. We're going to get some context. Okay, beloved? It's so important. You cannot truly understand what God's trying to tell you if you take 3 words here and 3 words there. Right? You'll be so lost. God has so much good stuff for you in His Word. But you have to look at the bigger picture. Okay? You'll never understand. You'll never understand. You'll never fully grasp what God has for you or what He's trying to tell you if you don't look at the context. If you don't look at the whole thing. Okay? Now, let's begin. We're in Matthew chapter 13, starting in verse 44. Okay? I'm reading in my NIV Fire Bible. Okay? Excuse me. So, starting in verse 44. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again. Then in his joy went and sold all he had, and he bought the field. Verse 45. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away, sold everything he had, and he bought it. So, I've heard these verses taught before, right? And really, the extent of the teaching is that the kingdom of heaven is important. Okay? Okay? Yes. Kingdom of heaven is important. Okay? But listen. These men that went and found this treasure. They found this pearl. Right? It was so important to them that they went and sold everything they owned so they could possess this thing, this important thing. Right? If you read into the, if you hear what Jesus is trying to say, they gave up everything for the kingdom of heaven. That's, you give up everything to get into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Sold everything you had. Okay? Now, am I telling you have to sell everything you have to make it into heaven? No. Am I telling you have to sell everything you have to become a Christian? No. Okay, I'm not. I'm telling you, you have to be willing to give up everything to be a Christian, to make it into heaven. Okay? Is there a half in, half out kind of thing? Nope. Let me explain to the why. Let's get some more context here to explain why I see this. Why I wholeheartedly believe this. Verse 47. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore, and they sat down and collected the good fish in the baskets and threw the bad away. Excuse me. Now, looking into that, it's good or bad, right? They didn't cut the fish in half and say, okay, this part of the fish was good and this part of the fish was bad. No. They threw them away. Okay? All in or all out. Verse 49. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Into hell, beloved. Thrown into hell. Okay? To be part of the kingdom of heaven, you have to be all in. Jesus has to be your important thing in your life. The most important thing in your life. Okay? My wife was a little upset with me because I'm going to do some street preaching next weekend. She wanted me to stay home and mow the grass. I told her absolutely not. Ministry I'm involved in is going street preaching. I'm not staying home to mow the grass. No. No. Listen. Mowing the grass is important. Right? My daughter has a soccer game that day. That's important. Jesus is the important thing. Right? That's my total goal is to make Jesus the most important thing in my life. What I explain to my wife is I will set time aside before I leave to mow. And the modern technology that we got today, someone can record that game for me. I can sit down with my daughter and we can talk it out. Right? I can be encouraging and uplifting and help her, right? We can turn it into a moment. As a matter of fact, my older daughter loves to commentate during the games. She really does. She goes all Sports Center on it and talks about the game, and she tries to be very official. It's very intense. I don't know how you commentate a 10-year-old soccer game, but she's figured it out. Right? That's just my priority. Should be your priority. All of us. Beloved, Jesus should be your priority. Okay? Now, verse 51. Have you understood all these things? Verse 52. Or, I'm sorry, yes, they replied. Verse 52. He said to them, therefore, every teacher of the law who has been instructed about the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of the storeroom new treasures as well as old. Okay? Now, he's right here. He says specifically he's talking to the teachers of the law, right? What do we call those today? Preachers, right? Therefore, every teacher of the law who has been instructed about the kingdom of heaven is like an owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old. Can you imagine? Can you figure out what Jesus is talking about? New treasures as well as old, right? Well, you could say, the things I've learned in the past, plus things that, I'm learning daily about the gospel because I'm in the Word, right? Or we could look at it, the New Testament and the Old Testament, right? That's how we bring it together. That's why our Bible has the New and the Old Testament, okay? The New Covenant and the Old Covenant. The new treasures as well as the old. There's a lot of really, really good and really important stuff in this book, beloved. It's so important that you read it. It's so important that you get all of it, okay? It's so important that you get the big picture. It's so important that you get some context, okay? There's some really good stuff in here. God drew out a plan for your life. How He wanted you to live. How you find happiness, peace, love, and joy. And it's all lined out right here. Beloved, all of the Word of God. Okay? All in or all out. Okay? The kingdom of heaven is about being all in. Okay? Making Jesus your priority. Making the Word of God a priority. Dusting off that Bible at home. Cracking open that book. Flip you some pages. Read you some good Word. It's got some really good stuff, beloved. Okay? honestly, it's the only time I'm able to focus or see the world clearly anymore. It's when I read my Bible. And that's a real thing, right? Let me explain to you how that's a real thing. I have a Bible at work that I read on break. I have a Bible in my car. If I need a passage, I have a Bible on my motorcycle where I can break out the word or share the word. I have a Bible in my motorcycle riding jacket. It's a tiny little, it's just a New Testament, and I think the book of Psalms or whatever. It's a tiny little dude. Just fits right in my pocket. Okay? I've got a Bible on the stand next to my chair. Right? This, my study Bible, I have in here. Right? Yeah, I've got a lot of Bibles. Okay? In a lot of languages. But I crack them open. Okay? Some of them are different, translations, right? They're all made for different purposes, right? Like the one I keep in my jacket is a evangelist Bible. It shows you different verses to help save, bring someone to salvation. Right, this one has a lot of commentary. My Bible at work doesn't have a lot of commentary. Doesn't have hardly any commentary at all. It has a couple of footnotes, like 3 words on one page, 3 words like, hey, this, in the original Hebrew it said this, right? NIV, King James, right? They don't all have to be super expensive, elaborate Bibles, okay? I keep my other language Bibles here at the house because, hey, I want to, what is this word? What it was this word originally in Hebrew or Greek? Let me get a little context from the original language, right? Let me understand this idea better, right? And one of my daughters is learning Spanish, so I've got a Spanish Bible, and go walk through the grammar and stuff with her and help her try to understand that kind of stuff. I mean, like, we've got some options here, right? Most Americans have a Bible. I know atheists that have Bibles, right? There are Bibles everywhere I go. Doctor's office, churches, hotels, apartment buildings. There are Bibles everywhere, beloved. Read the Bible. It's good stuff. Okay? I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I love you. God bless you. I pray as always that your day is full of